Hey Billy, thought I'd give you another video on some content. Last one we talked about some positioning with our thumbs in regards, having a root so that if these are anchored, then things can move around. So, thumb in the middle here and our finger can move around and anchor from here. It can get a wide range. Same thing over here, thumb's rooted on the pickup or the anchored on the string even, or the neck, and it can move around to other strings and things like that. Also, the idea to reinforce is ergonomic, so you're not putting too much stress on things. You're doing the least amount of effort as possible to conserve energy and let the amp do all the work. Because obviously we have amps, or even how we function is we just turn up the volume knob. And so, very little plucking on this hand and also light movement on this hand, which brings us to another topic of like the action of the instrument, meaning how high the strings are off of the neck. So again, the idea of conserving energy is you don't want to push the string any further down than you have to. Also, the strings don't need to be that high off of the fretboard in order to get a good sound, and that's kind of the idea, is how high do you need those strings in order to get a good sound or good tone from your instrument. And again, it's all a lot of preference. But today I wanted to talk about kind of the role of the bass and where to make it fit. So, neat thing, music is actually definition, or what music is made up of, two components: rhythm and then melody. You can't have music just rhythm, and you can't have music that's just melody. For instance, rap, and I used to say this to many of my students and they'd get really upset. I'd say, sorry to tell you that rap is not music, and they'd be really offended, but I just explained the aspect that in general, the main premise behind rap is that it's rhythm only. It's spoken word that's not put to melody, but just put to rhythm. But once you add that melodic aspect where somebody might be singing, then it is music. But rap nowadays especially would have the spoken word put to rhythm, but along with melodic instruments, piano, violin, keyboard, all those things, any of it could work. And so, music is made up of those two things, melody and rhythm. And here's a great thing, and you probably are well aware of this: the bass sits right in the middle between those two. We have rhythm, we connect to the drummer, and then we add the melodic component. We add often, but doesn't have to be often, the root notes in regards to whatever a chord instrument, melodic instrument are playing. And so we're that foundation between the two. We're like the referee. We're the keeping everybody together. It's kind of a neat thing. So the cool thing is we make sure we play the correct notes melody-wise to connect with them, and then we play the correct rhythm to link with the drums. And as you're probably well aware, since you've been playing drums, is a great thing to do for bass is to have the bass note play exactly when the kick drum is, the bass drum. And often when I'd play and I'd keep my eyes on that foot of the bass pedal, and just when that's going, so I'd link up exactly. The type of contemporary music we're playing is pretty basic, so it's nothing too fancy. But the idea would be, that we're if we look at our two hands here, our left hand, because you're right-handed, you play the same kind of way I do. Our left hand has the melodic role, where it chooses the note, G, A, B, whatever it is. And our right hand has the rhythm role. And so I can choose the right note here, let's say a G. I'm choosing that note, but there's no rhythm right now. I've chose that note, I got it picked on the instrument, but then I use this finger to attack it, and I add that rhythm. And we just try to match up with the bass drum. And as a matter of fact, a neat thing happens when you match up with the bass drum. When the bass instrument plays along with the bass drum, it actually gives a kind of mystery. It's a bit of a hidden thing, but anyway, it takes your notes and kind of gives it almost a sound an octave lower, and they call those enharmonics. They're often higher, but the role that plays when we match up with the bass note, it gives a sound that our note is an octave lower, which is really kind of cool. So another encouragement for us to match up with the kick drum of the drummer, and we often do that. There was a guy many years ago named Larry Graham. You probably heard of him, bass player, and he was in the band Sly and the Family Stone. He was the bass player for that, and he went off and played for Prince, played for a lot of other people, even had his own group called Graham Center Station. He did something pretty awesome. He was actually a guitar player when he was first doing music, and he played, very interesting, in his mom's band. His mother was a piano player, organist, and they had like a organ group, and they would travel around and do music, which is pretty interesting. Imagine being in a band with your mom. But he played guitar. Well, one day, the bass player didn't show up, so the mom said, all right, get off guitar, I need you on bass. And so he played the bass the same way that a guitar player would play, and he used his thumb as the pick. And you probably know where I'm going with this. And he just slapped down like this. And I won't get into slap too much. But then what happened, some gigs later, the drummer didn't show up. And so the mother said, all right, Larry, bass isn't here and the drummer isn't here. I need you to do both. So he played bass, and he played the root note, the bass drum, with his thumb, and then he used his index or his pointer finger to pluck on the string to get the snare sound. So I'm not going to get into he invented the slap and pop, but the concept is a bass drum and a snare drum hit. Of course, you can add some more stuff than that, but that's very basic. The bass, snare, bass drum, snare. And that's what he did. But you can still do the same thing. I was just doing a slap thing, but you can do it with fingers. So it's bass drums, bass drums. So that's a manner of playing, but the idea I want to get across to you is that you're just going to match your note to what the bass drum does. So you're taking with the piano, guitar, something like that. So let's say the root note is G, and you're going to then add it to what the rhythm is of the bass drum. And of course, you can elaborate more than that. Let's say we were to take a normal type of even close to a blues progression, but you're doing G, and then C, and D, back to C. And even notice as I play, I'm doing a little click here, which is kind of like the snare, which is actually something we could do because we don't have a full drum set when we normally play together. Bass, snare. Have fun with that, play around with that, and because you have the rhythm aspect with drums, I'm sure you could really elaborate on this and have some fun with it. But till next time, thanks. Bye.